What's up? What's up? This is Planetejobn. This is your humble host, Jamal Baraka, standing in with my cast on our second episode of our podcast. Here we go. I'm here with.
Hi, I'm Terrence Andrews, aka Toku Terry, your favorite black Toku nerd.
I'm Kyle. I lead the Comic Grave team. You can find us on the official Comic Grave group and the Facebook page Comic Grave.
What's up, everybody? It's Emmanuel Self, the most second-rated commenter in the group so far. And oh wow, I just forgot else. Later.
What the hell just happened?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Oh man, it's like we're cursed from birth. So that's our first topic. Okay, so I'm just pulling this one out of thin air. How did the Super Bowl go for you guys?
Gotta go.
I did not watch it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be on one. If I can be 100% honest here, while my dad celebrated the Super Bowl and went out to watch it, me, I did not care. I stayed home. I read my textbook and I played video games. That was my Super Bowl Sunday.
You know you're a nerd when you choose reading your textbook over watching the Super Bowl.
You know you're a nerd when you choose your textbook over anything.
It had to be done.
Hey, I understand. What subject? Just for the hell of it.
Let me see. History and settings in the New Testament.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool. Yeah,
I didn't do much of anything myself, honestly. I could lie and say it was for altruistic reasons like Colin Kaepernick and whatnot, but really, I just didn't give a shit.
Okay. You know what? My son, he's semi-pro, so I just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's semi-pro. He just started a couple weeks ago, so.
Congratulations.
We were I'm hoping he gets it together.
Good.
So I didn't really have a lot of fun with the game. I really didn't watch it. I was like in and out, but when I was looking at the scores, I was like, this is boring.
3-3 for like the whole game. It
was apparently from what I've heard, it was a really defense heavy game.
Yeah. And then I heard Maroon 5 came out there and it was kind of controversy behind him.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Behind Adam Levine.
Yeah, but again, I don't care about Maroon 5. Like I understand they're a really big band with a lot of followers, but I was never one of them.
I mean, they have some decent. You know what? I used to listen to their first album, like Songs About Jane, and I was in a relationship around that time, and the whole album was like basically about one person, and it reminded me of my relationship at the time. So
and it kind of ruined it for you, huh?
Wait,
I like that. I like Maroon 5. They're hit and miss, but I like them more than I dislike them. I don't dislike Maroon 5. I just think they kind of sold out a little bit.
I dig. No. You said Letters to Jane, not Diary of Jane. I was gonna say, wait, wasn't Diary of Jane Breaking Benjamin?
Possibly.
Wow. You gave up Maroon 5 for nothing, bro.
Yeah, man. What I wanted to get you guys together today for, because it's something we really need to talk about. It's something I've been thinking about for the past 2 weeks.
Sure.
I can't sleep at night. I wanted to talk about Captain Marvel because I'm not excited about this movie, and I feel
I am. I mean, it looks like Shazam is going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it myself.
I'm not going to lie here because once again, I want to say, oh no, I'm not watching it because XXY reason. But I'm going to be honest, I'm gonna watch it because as much as I keep yelling at people that his name's Captain Marvel, I've completely given up that fight at this point. I'm just going to enjoy the movie.
Okay, so what about honest impressions? Like, I know that I made on my blog, I wrote a couple articles about it that have been kind of divisive about the trailers that have been released.
Yeah.
But I can't get excited for this movie, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of know why, but
the Captain Marvel movie or the Shazam movie?
I'm talking strictly about Captain Marvel. I like the Shazam trailers.
Yeah, me too.
I like those. I don't like the Captain Marvel ones.
The Captain Marvel movie, I feel, is trying to I think the reason why a lot of people aren't liking it is because it's trying too hard to fit the 90s. Remember the 90s aesthetic? And I know nostalgia has been profitable for a while, but I feel like it's on its way out. So like, people are so burned out by companies pushing 90s nostalgia, so they're starting to rebel against it. So I think that's why it's not connecting as well as it should be.
It's a valid point. I mean, I feel like the main thing about it for me is when you watch the Shazam trailer, like you can associate with that because it's a 12-year-old in a giant superhero's body, and like he's jumping around, he's excited, he's doing all the things that you would like vicariously want to live your life through as a 12-year-old, and think it back to when you were 12. You watch the Captain Marvel trailer, it's like, yeah, Captain Marvel, yeah, I'm gonna save the world, I'm gonna stop your war, I'm gonna, it's just like she's just so nonchalant about it. Like I can't get into that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It doesn't look exciting. It doesn't really look.
That's what it is.
Interesting. And then, the elephant in the room is that nobody likes the character.
I mean, I don't hate the character. I just don't care for it. You know what I mean?
What was so bad about Carol Danvers anyway?
The passion.
Her comic has been like rebooted like 8 times in the past 5 years.
And the problem isn't the problem is the character itself. I think we can all agree that Carol is a terrible person. Like every time I see her in a comic, she's doing something else. She's doing something else just either rude, vicious, or cruel. I'm like, why do you people hang out with her?
Yeah, I mean, I like her new costume. I just think she's a bland, boring character, and it's just they want to push the character because she has the Marvel namesake. So you want Captain Marvel to be a big thing, but it's like they don't want to spend.
They did sue DC to get that. They did sue DC to get all the rights to that name, so they might as well use it.
Yeah.
Which again was incredibly petty, but I'm gonna let that go.
Well, no, I mean, I understand because I mean, I
understand the reason why they did it. I'm just saying it was a petty thing to do.
Well, I mean, Marvel is kind of a monster. They were a monster before Disney. Like, don't they still have a license on zombies exclusively? Like, you can't use the word zombie in comics still because of that.
What?
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that's why Marvel Zombies is Marvel Zombies, and you never hear like that's why when they did the Blackest Night, they never mentioned the word zombies. If you notice that.
Oh yeah. I have to check, but I think that's true. I know Marvel and DC co-operatively own the word superhero as one word, which is why everything else uses superheroes as 2 words.
Right. In Invincible, you'll never see the word superhero.
Yep.
That's different.
Wow, it's something new. You learn something new every day.
Yeah,
but it's petty, man. I'll tell you. But no, I mean, as far as Captain Marvel goes, I mean, I'll give it a shot. You know what I mean? I'm open to it. It might surprise me, but
yeah. Look, I have a rule. With movies, I give it one. I give it one watching to impress me. TV shows, I give it 3 episodes to impress me. That's my rule.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so I actually looked it up. It says Marvel once owned the rights to the word zombie. As improbable as it sounds, Marvel attempted to trademark the word zombie in Marvel Comics titles after publishing Tales of the Zombie in 1973. By the time the trademark was approved 2 years later, the series was coming to an end. Marvel lost the trademark in 1996, but it wasn't long before it once again trademarks the armies of the undead, registering the words Marvel Zombies to protect its comic series at the same time. So,
okay, I'll take half right.
Yeah, half correct. That's just something I'm like, wow, I got to look this up.
Yeah, watch out.
So, I mean, so as far as, I don't know, Captain Marvel, the thing is, Solo is a pretty good movie. I don't care what anybody says. I watched it on Netflix today. That's a solid movie, but the marketing was terrible. Like, it was terribly marketed. It was terribly placed, but it's a good flick. It might happen the same way with Captain Marvel. I might really enjoy it. So,
I think Captain Marvel is like really just hiding the movie.
Yeah.
Like from the trailers, it's not giving anything away about the plot. And it's like you're looking at the same scenes over and over again.
Pretty much.
And like people were saying that she doesn't have any personality or anything like that. So I think the studios are hiding the movie, but in hiding the movie, they're not showing you anything that you would be interested in.
Yeah, but I think that sorry to interrupt, but I think that that's actually what trailers are supposed to do. I feel like trailers are simply supposed to just announce that the movie is there.
That's a valid point.
Movie, it exists.
It's a valid point, but you're
not supposed to know. Yeah, but you're not supposed to know, like, the cool part of the movie before you see the cool part of the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, you still got to hook an audience. It's just like if you're watching Godzilla, the Godzilla trailer. At the end of the Godzilla trailer, you have a shot of him like just shooting the electric fire in the air, the nuclear fire in the air. And it's like, oh shit, it's Godzilla.
Right.
Hey, I don't know about you.
None of the Captain Marvels have a moment like that.
I don't know about you, but I'm ready to see her punch an old lady. Okay.
You've already seen it though.
Shut up. I didn't see it.
You saw it in every trailer.
You know what? You saw it in every trailer. I didn't. So shut up. I want to watch it. It's going to be funny.
Here's my thing. I think what's going on with the Captain Marvel trailer is Marvel has heard all the complaints that they give too much away in the trailers. So they're trying to push it back and play everything close to the vest. But while doing that, they've made a critical error. See, with trailers, you have to walk a very fine line between showing just enough to excite the audience, like, oh, see this cool thing, this is why you should see the movie. It's not just showing them the movie exists, it's showing them why you want to see it, but you also have to make sure you don't spoil too much of the plot. People have been complaining that Marvel has spoiled too much of the plot before, so with Captain Marvel, they're trying to spoil not all that much, but they're hiding so much that it's not exciting people.
Right. I think the main problem is if you could find a balance, it'd be great. Like, remember when BVS, they had the trailers out forever, and you basically saw the whole damn movie before you even saw the movie. And like with this one, it's like the polar opposite of that. Like, they need to find that middle ground. I think the Shazam trailer does that fine. Like,
most trailers do it fine.
Oh yeah. Also, speaking of Shazam trailer, did anybody catch that one kid in the Shazam trailer before Billy got to the wizard? I'm crazy, but here's my theory. I have a theory about who that kid is.
Okay.
Since it's confirmed that Savannah has magical powers in this movie, I think Savannah is a previous Shazam holder.
I don't think so. I don't want to shut you down, but I don't think so.
I understand. I mean, I'm willing.
That's too much. That would be too much to put in, because then I'll open up for a possible sequel.
Like, I could see that being more Black Adam story, if anything.
Yeah, but it wouldn't make sense for the way the kid was dressed. It wouldn't make sense for him to be Black Adam. Because
are we talking about the bully, or
we're talking about the movie?
No, but what character?
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find the trailer, the screenshot again.
All right.
I don't have any problems with the actual Shazam trailer. I think that those are nice, and the marketing behind it is nice.
Oh, yeah, those are fun.
With Captain Marvel, I think it's just they're releasing this movie. It's kind of like Kyle said with BVS. You're releasing this movie and you're doing it in a way where you're pushing it to the audience like you're just supposed to watch this movie because it's a Marvel movie. Just like with BVS, I was supposed to be excited for this movie because it's a DC movie. And you haven't hooked me with anything that you've shown me. It's just a trailer because you have to release a trailer.
Yep. I mean, what would you expect to see in there? Like
just some emotional beats. Like there's nothing to like with the in-game trailer. You have Iron Man, Tony Stark in space, and he's got 3 days of oxygen. He's about to die. True. So you're immediately like invested in that character. With Carol Danvers is like,
and also 10 years of film franchise. No, go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, but with Carol Danvers, it's kind of like there's nothing there to.
Did they show the scrolls at all?
Have you not seen any of these trailers?
On the beach,
no, I haven't. No, I've seen one, but like it was a while back.
Yeah, they showed the scrolls. You have your homework assignment tonight.
Yeah. But did they do show the scroll? How can you not be excited about the scrolls though?
I'm excited about it.
They didn't show anything. I mean, it's not. They didn't do anything.
The scrolls only get punched in the face. That's their entire role in comics. Get punched
and to get turned into cows.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Here's my thing, though. As far as Captain Marvel goes, I got to spec this. I'm big on fan theories. You guys know me. If you know my writing and stuff, you probably don't, but whatever. Okay. I think that the reason they're doing this, it could be tactical, because if you notice, the story is kind of like Captain Marvel doesn't have any memory of herself. She doesn't know herself. She's basically a mindless soldier. She is what she's told she is. Now, I think as the movie progresses forward, we're going to see her open up more and get more emotional, and we'll see her become a full-fledged character with her own identity. But the trailers reflect what she is before she gets back to Earth.
And I actually believe that too. I actually put that in my blog post. I'm like, what we're looking at is the Terminator.
Pretty much, yeah.
You have a Terminator-like character with no personality, and she's going to start finding herself as the movie goes on. But that's not being really translated well in the trailers, because it's like it's like, okay, well, she's really bland.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't really reflect what anybody who's not like a big, like, in-depth thinker about it. Like,
yeah, it's like I'm thinking like it's the Terminator. She came back to Earth, and she's been brainwashed. It's clearly she's been brainwashed.
Right.
Yes.
But it's not really coming across.
Okay, the real question is, will Captain Marvel appear? And if he does, how will he die?
Isn't that who? I thought that was who Jude Law was supposed to be.
They haven't announced that.
That's actually a good question.
Yeah, they haven't really revealed who that character is, but I'm pretty sure he's probably the original Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
What about Far From Home? Since we're on the subject, what do you guys think about that one?
I actually like the aesthetic that Far From Home has. It feels after all this dark stuff, it feels like a welcome bit of comedy relief.
Right.
Just having Peter going on a world road trip.
Getting away from America and all the stuff that goes along with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. When I was watching the trailer, what do you think is going on with Hydro Man? Do you think he's going to be a real character, or, spoiler alert, you have Mysterio, and Mysterio is like a special effects guy in the comics. Do you think that he's a real character, or he's just like a special effect?
Well, based on what I've seen, he's not actually going to be Hydro Man. Apparently, there was I read some kind of article about it where there were these elemental villains who were all like given godlike abilities with they're like the show Airbender, basically, where they all have the abilities over earth, fire, water, and air. And I think he's going to be some kind of air elemental or water elemental.
Yeah.
You think they're going to go that big?
Marvel does have a team of villains called the Elementals who were. Look, I'm not going to try to explain them. It's a whole headache and a half.
Hashtag Marvel.
I mean, but do you think they're going to go that big in the movie, like where they're going with elemental, like godlike characters there?
I doubt it. Honestly, I think Mysterio is just out for fame, and he's like manipulating the public opinion. He has a history in stunt and entertainment, so I do find it interesting that it looks like he has similar abilities to Doctor Strange. Like he might actually have a magical background, and that could even segue into a Spider-Verse movie. So that looks exciting.
Wasn't Mysterio a magician before?
I couldn't say.
You say who?
Wasn't Mysterio a magician, a stage magician, before he became Mysterio?
Yeah,
he was an actor. He was a special effects guy.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, the only time he had magical powers was when he sold his soul to Mephisto.
Ooh, that'd be a good way to bring Mephisto into it too.
I hear somebody's background, like somebody shooting or something.
Oh yeah, that's me.
What?
Hold on,
That's Kyle.
Hold on, let me turn my mic off. Give me a second.
No, there's nothing. I was interested in his show.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of. I mean, I like the Far From Home trailer, but I kind of feel fatigued like by the Marvel formula. I think, like, I still haven't even seen Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It's really not I thought it was a bad movie, to be honest. Like it was.
I didn't hate it, but it felt. I felt Ant-Man and the Wasp did exactly what it meant to do, and that was
line up with Endgame, pretty much.
Yeah. That's all it was. It was just, hey, this is what Ant-Man's doing during the events of Endgame. I'm impressed the entire Ant-Man team somehow managed to completely ignore an apocalypse.
I mean, well, nobody in the MCU really knew that there was an apocalypse coming until it actually hit.
If you think about it, really, there was just a fight in New York, which when doesn't that happen in that movie series? You know what I mean? And then majority of stuff happened like 3,000 miles away.
Yeah. So if you look at it like that, it's not really like an event. Will probably not really be a big deal.
Yeah, true. All right. I did have a question because I was talking to some other people, and they're pointing out that DC is moving into that DC both in the animated section and in the live action section, they're going to be moving more into other characters. So I was wondering, do you think either in animation or in live action will we ever see the Spectre on screen?
Spectre. Oh, I'd love to see the Spectre. I'd love to see Hal Jordan's Spectre.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, Spectre.
Oh come on.
How would you even do that?
Like for Christmas Allen.
Yeah, I don't see why
how would you even do that?
I think that DC needs to like focus on their on their characters that don't get a lot of spotlight. I really hate that they're pushing forward with a new Batman movie, and I know a lot of people probably won't like that, but I don't want another Batman movie. I think they have so many characters, especially since I started reading DC like with Rebirth, that they really need to get these other characters going. Like the Flash, they probably need to recast him, but in Cyborg, they probably. Well, I don't know about Cyborg, but they really need to go into the well and like get those characters off the ground. They don't need to do Superman and Batman again right now.
Well, who would you want to see if that was your choice?
I would go like maybe Swamp Thing or like somebody like John Constantine.
I don't mean to cut you off, but they're actually doing a Swamp Thing TV show in the DC universe.
Talking about movie, like I think that they would really benefit from like doing a Constantine movie or Swamp Thing.
Yeah, we did a Constantine movie.
See, a Constantine movie is a great way to get the Spectre on live action.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't really trust DC with putting out another Superman movie, and then Batman is just going to be another take on something we've seen several times already.
Right.
Constantine was already a movie though.
If you ask me, I think the reason why a lot of Superman movies go wrong is, and what I'm about to say is either going to make no sense or make a lot of sense.
Okay.
They don't get Superman. Like every Superman movie, think about it. Superman is this overconfident, smug douchebag who only hangs out on Earth because he's in love with a human, Lois Lane, and that's not who Clark is. Clark is this chill, down-to-earth guy who grew up in Kansas and just wants to help everybody.
Say what you want about the Supergirl show, but I personally think that's the one medium that really nailed Superman in the past 20 years.
I gotta agree there. No argument.
The character is pretty easy to get if you like take all the pretentiousness out of it.
Yeah,
he's the Midwest guy.
Yeah, he's just this cool farm boy who wants to help everyone.
He's just a good guy. Like he had good parents. He's a good guy, and he's had superpowers. And it's like. You can't really hurt Superman, but they don't even get they rely too much on like the damsel in distress with Lois Lane or goofy plots with Lex Luthor, and it's like, dude, he's a chill dude,
right? And that really makes me mad too. Like making her a damsel in distress in the first place. Like Lois Lane in the comics is a pretty badass chick, you know what I mean, and she can hold her own. I'm tired of seeing her fall off of buildings. And
I blame Silver Age for that because in the Golden Age, she was this chick who would cuss out gangsters to their faces, and the gangsters would apologize. In the Golden Age, in the Silver Age, made her this damsel in distress because I don't know. Silver Age had this thing about women. I don't get it. But and then in the modern age, she's back to her Golden Age personality with the actual ability to fight.
Yeah. I mean, she's a tough character.
Yeah.
Back to that subject though, just to get us on track again. Back to that subject about like what DC needs to really do. I personally agree with you, Jamal. Like we need to see them deviate from the main cast, like what they should do, because it's the law of diminishing returns. If you have so many Batman movies, it's not going to be long before Batman is deteriorated. And ironically, they're trying to keep him off TV for that reason, but they're doing it in the movies.
Yeah.
What I think they should do is they should do a circle of his characters and make him out to be like a legend to them, and then like lead into a Batman movie. You know what I mean?
That's actually a great idea. I would also point out that here's a crazy idea.
What's that?
Let's get some Nightwing.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
that'll be cool.
Red Hood, Nightwing,
Jason.
Yeah. Dick Grayson's fine.
Jason
Todd is great. Tim Drake is great.
Yes.
My personal favorite Batgirl, Cassandra Cain.
Mhm.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah.
Ain't she in the TV
I mean,
series?
even if they pull something like The Silencer, I think The Silencer would be like a dope comic book movie. Are you guys familiar with her?
You know, I hate the artist so much that I didn't even read it.
I've actually
Heard her, but I haven't read any of her stuff yet.
Okay, well, The Silencer. Are you guys familiar with the movie The Long Kiss Goodnight?
No.
me.
Oh, is that the one with the white lady who's like a spy or something? But she
The
didn't know
old
it.
Gina Davis movie with Samuel L. Jackson. Well, basically, what The Silencer has is she used to be a part of a Leviathan, which is an organization in DC that's like the League of Shadows, but it's a group of assassins that's like
can't throw a rock in DC without hitting an assassin group.
Yeah, but she got out of it, out of that life, and then she got married and had a kid. But she got drew back into it. But her power set is that she can create a zone of like silence where it's complete silence, and she can infiltrate, and then she can operate in that field.
Oh, cool.
And it's basically like she's just like an assassin character, but it's like so cool. And I'm like, just imagine you have a character on screen, and then the movie just goes completely silent, and then she kills everybody.
That would be kind of dope, though.
It would be dope. And it's like you have a character like that, and she has a decent backstory. And it's like you have so many like small characters, like Hogman. Hogman has all these different past lives and resurrections you can do on screen. But you never really see any of this because DC is so focused on getting Superman and Batman on screen. It's like, and people want stuff that's different right now. I think with my takeaway.
Aren't you like well connected to DC people, so you can like request that?
I'm not connected to anybody. I'm just saying that
You're not?
No, I'm not. But I mean, I review a lot of DC comics.
Yeah, but you were like DMing freaking that Snyder Cut.
Yeah, let's go into a different conversation.
My bad.
Yeah. I mean, let's just look at the Justice League movie. Out of the Justice League movie, they only focused on 3 characters: Flash, Cyborg, and Wonder Woman. Batman got focused too, but we're going to ignore him for a minute while I talk. And while that characterization was good, we needed a lot more of them. Besides, there's a lot of other really interesting people just in the Justice League that have never gotten their due. Let's pretend that Green Lantern movie didn't happen for a second, and look at the Green Lanterns. You have 4 different Green Lanterns that each one would be a great character for the DCEU. You have Hal Jordan, the man without fear, struggling to live up to his father's legacy. You have John Stewart, the Marine who struggles with his PTSD, the Marine architect who struggles with his PTSD and his feelings. You have Guy Gardner, who, oh my God, Guy Gardner.
That guy got some issues.
I want to see so badly that scene where in the comics, Guy Gardner puts his ass up to the Watchtower window and Batman's just grimacing at his butt cheeks. That needs to be in the movies. That needs to just take out any badasses from Batman. When he's in Justice League movies, he has to just be shat on because he's the one without powers. But outside of that, he needs to be a Billy badass.
Yeah. Honestly, I have no idea. Of course, Kyle Rayner, the artist who has all this potential, and yet is held back by his fears of inadequacy, his fears of never living up to the reputation of the Green Lanterns.
Oh, that's my people, man. You don't have to explain the Green Lanterns to me at all. I would love to see the whole team out.
They really do need to redo Green Lantern. Like that has so much potential.
Oh yeah. Oh, also,
but you got to get creators that care about it. Like you can tell that the people that did Aquaman cared about the character. With Green Lantern is like, I don't know if they really cared about it. They just wanted to bang on having Ryan Reynolds as the lead character.
Yeah, and making Parallax the first villain Hal fought is a really, 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 really dumb move.
Nobody's arguing about that one.
But yeah, and also another character that DC really needs to put more focus on is Martian Manhunter. Can you imagine how much potential a Martian Manhunter movie has?
Oh my God, that would be so sad.
You know what would be really dope? You know, it just hit me in the head. What they should really do is do a golden age movie. Like, do something like Watchmen. You know, when the Watchmen had the flashbacks, like do something based in like the 40s and 50s. Have Hawkman, have Green Lantern Sentinel, have like that'd be a good way to set up the real Green Lanterns. Like, have the meteor hit the Earth and he gets the ring, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, have all of them. Have it with that. You know, much she in the mouth, she like all that stuff.
Oh yeah. A noir style superhero movie.
There you go.
I'm writing that down because that's the coolest thing I've ever heard and said in my entire life. Noir style superhero movie.
I mean, it actually would be pretty cool, like a Watchmen movie with characters that actually have superpowers.
Right. Exactly.
That would be fun. Like, okay, you have characters back in the 40s and like dodge like that are bulletproof or can like warp reality and stuff like that.
In that era, though, you know, where like
era, like yeah,
I especially because I love reading the JSA. I love reading the JSA because whenever the JSA hangs out, they're all just really uncomfortable talking to the Spectre, and it's hilarious because they call themselves his friends, but they're all terrified of him.
Right.
That's actually pretty funny. I like that.
Well, they're like a real group of down to earth guys too. It's like he's that creepy. The Spectre's that creepy friend. You know, Sentinel is like the guy who, you know, guys, I don't know if we should do this or not. And then Wildcat is like, fuck you, let's go knock down a bar. Like,
see, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Fate's the one who's trying to keep all the group together. He's like, no, wait, don't just. Can you all look? We don't have to argue.
He's the dad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the Watchmen TV show that's coming to HBO?
Oh,
that's a real thing. That's actually happening.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
the thing that's happening.
Yes, sir.
I'm about to, and I'm sorry, but I'm about to lose a lot of fans that I've earned. I'm completely over Watchmen. The original comic is one of the greatest comics of all time. I will never deny that.
Okay.
The first movie is really good, but I'm kind of agreeing with Alan Moore here that Watchmen has been oversaturated. Like we had before Watchmen, and then we had and now we have Doomsday Clock, and now we're getting this new movie. And maybe it's because I've been online and people just nobody can see the gesture I'm doing, but you can kind of guess. Just oh my God, they just never shut up about Watchmen, and I'm just like, okay, I get it. It's really good. I love it too, but you know, there are other things to talk about. Just
you got to appease the fans, though. Like, I think you also have to remember too. Like, we got to strike while the iron is hot. Like, if this is going to be the hot thing, milk it. I think that's pretty much how that's how every film is. You know,
from a business standpoint, I want to say I agree with you, but from a standpoint of a fan who's just seen them milk it for years, like with the Batman franchise, you look at Wolverine and you know in the comics of Marvel. I'm tired of milking. Like, you know, keep it spicy, man. Like that's what we really need.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of on the fence where I think that there's stories to tell with the Watchmen universe because we only really saw them on a couple missions in the original series, and then in the Watchmen miniseries, you had like the end of their run. So there's a lot of space to tell stories, but the thing is that it's all about the creative teams that's behind it. Like there's stories to be told in that universe.
Absolutely.
Just like with the character, what's the one guy that had the noose around his neck?
Oh yeah, Hangman. I think they called him.
Yeah, the Hangman. He ended up getting where he
Yeah,
just totally disappeared from the group. You know, he totally disappeared from the group after a mission. He was like, well, why did he disappear?
Yeah, well, I remember it was because he ended up being outed as black and gay. So,
that's what it was. Yeah.
And then,
yeah, but I mean, that's not something that was actually on screen or on panel. That's very interesting back in the golden age, in the 40s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very valid story to tell. Or like you have where the comedian is basically hinted at being like the person that killed Kennedy.
That wasn't hinted at. They straight up showed him shooting Kennedy. Like,
yeah, but I mean, in the original series, they didn't show that.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah,
so those are stories that can come out and that are very interesting to see. So I think there's mileage to get out of Watchmen, that doesn't have to be milked, but it's just interesting because like we said before, these are characters that were in the 40s that were superheroes, and their motivations were totally different from anything that's like a lot. You had characters that were superheroes because it was just something they were sad, like characters that got off on beating up criminals. That's not something we see in comics, you know.
That's true.
That's a very unique and different.
It's a very unique concept where you had the one character was a lesbian and she got murdered because she was a lesbian, and that was like a scandal. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Nobody cared. Like
she got murdered for it, and that's not something that you'll see in like today's comics. That's
You probably
you know what I'm saying?
And, you know, it is actually a pretty interesting dynamic for the fact that if you look at she was Silk Spectre, right? If you look at her, she was basically in it for the fame. Like she was in it just for the glory. Then you have the comedian who's just in it just to get off his rocks for killing people. And like this is all during an era where, you know, they're probably being sold as these all-American boys and like, you know, they can do no wrong.
Like
yeah, I'm down for that.
I understand what you're saying, like it's oversaturated, but you got to really like Watchmen had a lot of themes that were kind of heavy that weren't touched on. Like you had the one character, Dollar Bill, who was a bank teller who dressed up like a superhero and again got murdered because his cape got stuck in the door one day.
Man,
that can happen to Batman any given day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, imagine that story breaking. Like I would pay to see that. I'll get the HBO subscription just to see the reaction. Like, guys, you're not gonna believe it. What happened? Dollar Bill. He went out. Who killed him? Was it the face? Was it the man with 2 eyes? Like, no. It was a revolving door.
You get shot.
That's not funny. You got
like it's horrible, but it's like, dog, these are like how absurd it is to be a superhero. You know,
right.
Like, why would you want to do that? There's no money involved.
Especially in a world where there's no actual superpowered people besides Dr. Manhattan. He showed up years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I understand both sides of the argument, but I think in that universe, there's stories to be told. Like,
I did.
You know,
I personally want to see like what happened with Mothman. I want to see like him sort of go into dementia because I remember he was the one who went crazy, right?
Yeah.
He actually has a story that follows through with the new Rorschach, spoiler alert, and Doomsday Clock. They do show him, and he does meet his end in that. But yeah, they continue this story somewhat.
Like, did they ever is the Doomsday Clock still going?
It's still
bi-monthly.
It's once every 2 months now.
God damn.
Because they will never be finished with this story, no matter how much I want it to die.
I don't want it to die, man. I want to see where it goes, but I mean, they are kind of milking it, but only till the summer, I'm sure.
Well, the problem with Doomsday Clock is that it's bi-monthly, and then it feels like it doesn't really connect to current continuity, so it's like it doesn't really feel like it matters.
Yeah, I understand it's supposed to take place a year from current continuity, but even so, it still feels like pointless. It feels like everything that's going on now is either pointless or won't matter, or either Doomsday Clock is pointless or everything that's going on now is pointless. Because it's
kind of like you have the Riddler is wearing the Riddler costume from the 1960s. It's like no.
I was hoping. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I was hoping that the way that they're playing it is like what's going on is they're in some kind of pocket dimension and they're not even in the main DCEU. They're in somewhere where like it's a cross between Earth 2 classic and like the modern era. And it's like Dr. Manhattan's playground. Like you ever heard that story of the Monkey King where like he's fighting Buddha and he turns out he's just in this palm the whole time?
Yeah.
I have heard that story repeatedly. I have read Journey to the West.
Okay, cool.
Not actually read Journey to the West in one sitting. You will die of dehydration.
It's that big, huh?
Yeah, it's huge.
That's what she said. No, but I mean, I think that it would be really dope if it turned out that way, where it's like just a pocket universe where he's just playing games with the pieces that he kept from their memories. And you know, Ozymandias thinks he's such a genius. He's got Manhattan by the balls, but in reality, Manhattan's just playing with him.
Yeah, I'm still irritated that whole thing with Firestorm happened, and I'm irritated. You know what really bugs me? Has anybody read The Fall and Rise of Captain Atom?
Yeah, I haven't.
No, just me.
I actually haven't.
You have it. Cool.
Yeah, I haven't.
In The Fall and Rise of Captain Atom is heavily hinted in the final volume to be about not the final volume, the final issue, because it's only one volume.
Okay.
But the final issue, he's highly hinted to be about to join the Justice League, and we see Hawkman is in the Justice League, which means he's supposed to be a member of the Justice League right now.
What?
Back in 2017. We haven't seen him since.
Well, you know, DC's continuity is like dog shit. It's like absolutely terrible.
But let's be honest, not just DC. DC and Marvel, they have continuity, but they forget to, but they have no kind of inner office communication.
Yeah, they totally don't have any editing. But I think with DC is like, you know, because I actually boycott Marvel right now. Like I don't read Marvel comics, so I only can speak on DC. But their editorial and their direction is as far as continuity is terrible. Like you'll have a story going on like in Deathstroke and like Batman, like Two-Face was like the villain in both of those series. And in Deathstroke, Two-Face is like locked up.
Yeah, that's where you got to have that suspension of disbelief because, you know, you just got to say to yourself, okay, this must be at two different times. Otherwise, you know, it's just going to be like.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard when they're both coming out at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
like back in the day, like I'm kind of old right now. Back in the day in Marvel, like they used to like reference like if something was happening in like Thor and that event, like I remember there was a situation in Spider-Man where there was a snowstorm that happened because something happened in Thor. And it was referenced like if you want to know why it's snowing right now, read Thor. You know?
Yeah, that's
totally out the window right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like the new Young Justice Wonder comics. Because Zeus, who, if you all remember from Wonder Woman, wait, everybody's caught up on Wonder Woman, right?
Sorta.
Okay, so for those of you who aren't caught up, there's a spoiler alert, so I'll give you guys a few seconds. Okay, so a couple months back, Darkseid murderified Zeus, but but he showed up in this week's issue of Wonder Comics Young Justice, but they actually have a note for it at the bottom, like this event takes place before Wonder Woman 42, back when Zeus was still alive.
Okay,
which I appreciate because you know somebody was going to point that out, but the whole comic doesn't take place back then. Just the flashback Cassie was having takes place back then.
Wow.
Yeah, they specifically made a note about that, which I appreciate because they knew people were going to ask about that. Like, wait, isn't Zeus dead? So they specifically made that note just to circumvent that problem. I like when comics do that.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, why are you boycotting Marvel?
Well, it's not necessarily like complicated, but I stopped reading Marvel back like in late 2000s, like a year or two ago, after Secret Empire. And it was just because I read it. There was you had the assault on Pleasant Hill. Then right after that you had Civil War 2. Then after that you had was it Secret Empire?
Some unmemorable event. I get what
so you had like 3 events back to back to back, and none of them really mattered. And there were line-wide events, and they were like every comic that was associated with it was like $3.99 a piece.
Right.
So at some point, I started feeling like I was being taken advantage of, like as a customer.
Oh, I understand. You had it's called arc fatigue.
No, it wasn't really arc fatigue. It was the fact that I felt like I was being ripped off as a customer.
It's wallet fatigue.
Like it was wallet fatigue, and it was the fact that I felt like these Marvel was like doing basic cash grabs, like it was a video game like EA.
Right. DLCs or something.
Like they kept sending me like, okay, so in order to keep up with the story, I need to keep up with this whole event, but the event is line wide.
Right.
So it's like 40 books connected to this one event. And then it doesn't even make any sense. And then toward the end of like Secret Empire, it became obvious to me that the event's ending was changed because people weren't receptive to what was going on. Like you had Falcon Captain America was the story was basically him becoming worthy enough to carry the Captain America mantle shield.
Mhm.
Cool.
But after we got to the end of it, it was like he went back to being Falcon. So it basically undermined the whole plot.
Yep.
So at that point, I felt like I was ripped off, and I was like, okay, well, if you're doing this whole arc doesn't even matter, and you've just charged me like upwards of like $140 for every issue.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So at that point, I was like, you know what, I can't really support this because I feel like I have a decent job and I can afford these comics, but like if I'm just a fan, you know, I feel like I'm being exploited, just like if I was buying like $100 worth of DLC from like EA.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
So I can't support that because it's not right.
I personally, I kind of like boycotted Marvel too for the same art, the Secret Empire, but it was more for moral reasons. Like I didn't know how much I cared about Captain America until I saw them shit on a character like that. Like I know for a fact that a lot of dudes genuinely died in the real world using like 18-year-old kids, like younger than me now, like were running into battle like with Captain America in their minds, and then they got him over here working with Nazis basically, and that just felt
Which
like
is just not cool at all.
See, I didn't really have a problem with Captain America being a Nazi because it was the story, because if you read Pleasant Hill, the assault, basically you had the Red Skull had Professor Xavier's powers and rewrote his mind.
Yeah, well,
I know what the reasoning for it was, but I'm thinking on the metaphysical, like there were people who sat in a room and said, you know, it'd be cool if we made Captain America a Nazi without even contemplating the ramifications of that.
But on that level, it made sense because if you had Captain America, his mind was rewritten.
well,
And he was a Nazi.
Yeah, I
That's
see what
part
you're
of it
saying.
made sense. Because it's like, okay, well, this is a character, but he's brainwashed. And if he's brainwashed, it's like, okay, it's not really him. You know, at that point, it's like, okay, well, we understand. Where Marvel messed up was because they made another Captain America.
One second, guys. I'm doing something.
Okay.
Sorry.
But where they messed up was that they said that this was the real Captain America and it was from an alternate reality. And it was like, okay, well, now you've done something that's like, I can't get behind.
Yeah, that
He's
was
not brainwashed. This is just how he was raised.
Yeah, you know what? I'll agree with that. At least follow through. Like,
Yeah,
show me Captain America getting his brain back and then dealing with the devastating fact that he was a Nazi. You know what I mean? Like,
that makes sense because I'm like, okay, well, if he's brainwashed, he's just brainwashed. It's just like Cyclops when he was possessed by the Phoenix. I'm like, it's not really him.
Oh man, this is why I read Lion Forge.
This is why I stopped reading Marvel, because it's like you pull ideas out of of a sorting hat like Harry Potter, and it's like you can't do that. You got to really if you're gonna do something, follow through. Like James, War Machine getting killed by Captain Marvel, and then he comes back and then they don't even mention it. Like,
can we talk about the racial aspect of that? Like, they really went and killed Goliath like gruesomely and left his dead giant body out and the carcass out in the wind. And then they went and made the new event. I'm like, I'm hoping they don't make the same mistake twice. And what do? They kill a main, bigger black character shamelessly and grotesquely. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Are we talking about Civil War? Because we can't talk about Civil War because I will be here all night.
I'll be right back.
All right, man.
Okay, so
Oh, crap. Well, I guess we are talking about Civil War then.
I guess so.
All right. Well, in my opinion, that entire Civil War arc, trash. Whole arc. Throw the whole event away. The whole event.
Dude, like that was a very big deal in the Marvel universe, though. What the hell?
What big deal? But here's the thing: the entire event, objectively speaking, betrays a lot of characters' fundamental personalities. From Spider-Man revealing his secret identity on national TV for no reason. Remember, the Accords do not have him reveal his identity to the public, only to the government. So he revealed his whole identity on national TV for no reason, which got his aunt shot, which led to the events of One More Day, which again I will get into it on some other day. The fact that Captain America's side is portrayed as in the wrong, despite all the horrible things we see Tony Stark's side do, and let's not kid ourselves. Tony Stark basically committed war crimes during Civil War.
Tony Stark was basically George W. Bush during Katrina. He was just terrible.
I'm pretty sure George W. Bush never locked people in a dimension known to cause mental torture and depression.
I mean, he locked them on a roof. That was close enough.
All right.
Jeez, Terrence, I didn't realize you were so passionate about this.
I'm sorry. Just that whole arc just goes.
Well, I think there is like some kind of racial disparity, but like it's not. I think it's just so everybody can kind of. It's a concept. Everybody dies, like nobody's special kind of concept. Especially with comics, trying to.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Okay,
Well,
thank you. Okay, so video games. Can we talk video games? Because I need someone to get my blood down.
Microtransactions. The
Run
future
it. Like,
of
you
gaming.
want to talk about Stalk?
You want to talk about what?
I said, what you want to talk about? Stalk? Let's get it.
Well, I was going to talk about franchise fatigue because I've noticed something. Because I've noticed something from talking to my other gamer friends. A lot of people are more interested in new IPs than continuing franchises, and they all say the same thing. The franchises don't seem to go anywhere. Like a lot of my friends who play Devil May Cry said they're more excited about the fifth game being the end of Dante's story than it being another Devil May Cry game, which I found interesting.
Well, you've got to have a beginning, middle, and end. Like I love the Uncharted. Like, you guys familiar with Uncharted?
I am familiar with it.
Like that.
Yeah,
that series.
I have the fourth one, but I haven't finished the game.
Oh, how do you not finish that game? Well, I'm not going to.
I guess so many. I'm so behind.
Well, I mean, honestly, I never even played the other games. I just watched the movies of them on YouTube. Like, that story is so perfectly linear. Like, there's action, there's gameplay, but then there's a story that trails singularly forward. And I think more video games need to be like that. Like, stop trying to, dangle a story in front of me like a carrot on a stick. Just, get to the end and then show me prospects for the future, kind of like how the Arkham series did.
Okay, were you talking about arc fatigue? Let's just bring up the fact that Arkham is great. Okay, Arkham is one of those games that you can like remake it now and it'll do good. What?
I think Arkham was a great start. I think in 10 years I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna be like, this is a little sparse. Like, I wish there was more to this.
Yeah, but that's only because of the innovations made because of it. So
kinda. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I wish Gotham had more to it. I wish it was more like an open world scene. I was tired of I don't want to rag on it. Like, I did enjoy the game. It's just like I got tired of the locked in somewhere, gotta hang from gargoyles. Like, show me some diversity in the gameplay. I just wish it was.
Well, I thought that like with Arkham, the Arkham storyline actually ended.
Oh yeah. Arkham had a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, it had an end. I think the last game kind of messed up the mechanic level because they could have just came out and said that the Arkham Knight was Jason Todd and just been honest about it.
Right.
Yeah,
that story ended.
It was so obvious they lied about it.
Yeah, it was like that's Jason Todd, and it's like, no, it's not, and I'm like, no, it is.
No, it is though.
Lied about it.
We're not mad at it for being obvious. We're mad at them for lying to our faces.
Like, clearly that's Jason Todd, and they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, you're a fucking liar. It's Jason
right.
Todd.
Like, you think I don't know him when I see him? Like, come on.
Like,
you know how long I've been.
Like when they showed the Robin in the game get his ass beat with the crowbar, I'm like, dude, it's Jason.
Right. Like, I wonder who that could be. What's gonna happen?
I don't know. Maybe it's Tim Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is when you talk about arc fatigue, you got to remember like there's some games that just will there's just some games that will always sell. You know what I mean? So it's like, is it fatigue if those games sell, or is it like? Like, let's just say, for example, if they redo Halo right now, that game is selling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it just depends on what the creative team has. If they have a story to tell, if you have a real story to tell, you can tell any story because you have a fan base that's interested in what's going on. Like if they came out with a new Mass Effect, that's my favorite franchise. I would be interested in it just because it's Mass Effect. But if they don't have a story to tell, and they're just trying to cash in on the name, or if they have some like weird story like Mass Effect Andromeda, you're just gonna piss off the fan base. So it's like if you're gonna do that, just leave it alone.
I dig.
What would you consider?
That's exactly what I feel like. For example, if I can bring my example back to Devil May Cry for a brief second.
Go for it.
Am I mind?
Okay.
All right, cool. So in Devil May Cry, everybody remember how mad the people were when the reboot came out? And a lot of the complaints were, besides the style change, they complained that the series had no right to reboot when the original story wasn't over yet. It's not that they were tired of the franchise. They wanted the original story to be over before we moved on to a new story.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, you have other titles like Resident Evil 2 that just came out. Like, and it's a total reimagining of Resident Evil 2. That game is like almost 20 years old. And it's dope, you know. But I'm like, but you can tell that the team behind it had passion for the series and they wanted to make a good game. You have other games that come out where it's like they're just like a cash grab. Like they don't even have anything else to say about the franchise, but they go along with it anyway, just because they know that you have fans out there that'll spend money just because.
That is also true. So I feel like I feel both as a writer and as a fan, one of the things you gotta do is have a beginning point, a middle point, and an obvious end goal for your story. Like as long as it keeps making, like I feel like as long like one of the reasons why people end up getting art fatigue is they feel like they're being taken advantage of because of name recognition.
Yeah.
And for one, and for two, the human brain craves structure. It craves order. When you leave a story off in the middle, your brain doesn't like that. It feels anxious about it.
Didn't people really have that problem with one game? It was I forget what it was called. I know everybody really liked it. It was like Half-Life or something like that. Like it ended on a third story, but I was like, I can't wait to see what 4 looks like. And they're like, well, no, we're never making that.
Yeah, that's because Half-Life didn't end. It never ended.
Half-Life was another game.
Half-Life ended on a cliffhanger.
It was another game too that did that.
There's a lot of games that end on cliffhangers that I can't play because they end on cliffhangers and it just bugs my sense of balance.
I think Half-Life is like the worst cliffhanger ever because it's like considered to be like one of the best video games of all time, and it's like they just didn't go anywhere with it. Which is like Mass Effect. It was like you ended it, but it was like it sucked so bad that people would want you to rewrite the ending just to get it right.
Yeah, I feel like that whole ending was them rushing. I feel like they wrote themselves into a corner and then realized they had no actual way out of that corner.
No, Mass Effect they could have had an ending. Like it's been discussed all over the internet.
Yeah, there were better endings, but I don't think they realized that the better endings until after they'd already written that one.
I think they had an ending, but the original ending was leaked, so they had to go back and change it. But I'm
looking forward to that Anthem game.
Have you played it?
Which game?
Anthem.
Oh yeah, I heard of that. That's like a mech RPG, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, they actually have they had an open beta last week.
Yeah, I think died.
What happened?
Like think Destiny, except not Destiny. Shit, I can't. Wow.
Like if you're Iron Man, but you're Iron Man in like Mass Effect.
That's what I was thinking. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to check that one out.
It looks interesting.
Yeah, another thing I think is a lot of game. This bugs me about movies and games, but what I call it the blatant sequel beg when they set up a cliffhanger when they know they're not going to sell enough to get a sequel, so they're intentionally just doing it just to mess with you.
Like what?
Like like the Aragon movies. One is a movie example. For video games, give me a second. I have notes, but I can't find them.
You need to have your notes together, man.
I know. I need to have them for these conversations, but I always put them down. Like, okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna remember this. Oh,
Get the strap.
Baldur's Gate. That's another good. There's another good example. Baldur's Gate ends in this epic sequel hook, and what happens?
You know what really ended on a terrible cliffhanger?
What's that?
The Bible. I'm still trying to wait for this sequel where Jesus comes back, and they really let me down.
I mean, you have Revelations. It ends and Jesus wins. So, like, what else is there?
The whole world is fucking destroyed in Revelations. We're not doing this.
Okay, but what happens next though? Like, I want to
There's
know.
nothing else.
There's nothing else. God
The
comes
world is shut up.
eternal peace forever.
I need that video game. I need the video game where I can shoot lightning out my fingers as Jesus. Like, I basically want Jesus Jedi, where I'm walking across the scorched earth, and the big bad is the Antichrist.
Really, you want to play as Jesus instead of the Archangel Michael?
Well, I mean, he could be my Qui-Gon.
Summon.
There you go.
Dude, I honestly would love to play like an open world game dedicated to the Bible. That would be amazing.
Right?
Oh yeah. Especially since angels in the Bible look nothing how they're portrayed in media.
Don't do that. Don't do that. People actually listen to this shit. Don't do that.
Yeah, let's not do that. But I mean, I think it would be a pretty cool idea to like do an open world, maybe like Old Testament Bible.
Oh yeah.
Video.
Oh,
picture this: Noah's Ark, right? You got to play as Noah, and you got to go around killing mythical creatures, and you got to stop them from getting on the boat before the time limit is up, where the storm comes.
Okay, that sounds like a horrible idea.
Or no, actually, you could do like Noah's Ark, and you actually need to get all of the animals on the ark before you run out of time, and then everybody dies.
Except the unicorns.
I said this, but again,
Ooh, check this out. What about
It'll be like Oregon Trail.
what if you could play as like a friend of Joseph who actually helps him get out of the city before they try to execute Jesus?
you know what? I don't know if it's because I'm Christian, but I would totally play that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the Bible is like a ridiculously good source for this.
Yeah. There's just a lot of really good. Oh my God, King David, the video game. The dude is like King Arthur. He did nothing but fight.
Dog.
Yeah. Or even like Genesis, like when you have like there were giants on the earth in those days, like that, like one line right there is like, what?
Yeah, so much potential.
Like it's like okay, and then it's like glossed over like immediately. Like yeah, the sons of God came down and mated with the daughters of men, and then we had giants, and it's like, what?
Oh, what?
It's like what?
This is big.
No, we need more information. Don't just gloss over.
You can't just skip over that. Like what was going on between this passage and this passage? It's like
right.
700 years later.
Like
what?
Imagine if somebody found a small sentence in there, and on the 8th day God created minotaurs, and then Adam and Eve. No, hold on, go back.
like let's go back. Like,
oh my God!
Speaking of things that would make great video games, and I know I brought this up last time, but again, King Arthur the video game. You play Arthur, Lancelot. You said no?
Yes, that is bad, but it's good.
I'm just saying, you play it'd be like a Western version of Dynasty Warriors. You play as Arthur or Lancelot or somebody, and just play through the King Arthur mythos, just wiping out everybody.
I'm sure we'll see that happen. Actually, eventually we'll see that happen.
That sounds like
I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Don't we have some video game programmers in the group? We could like totally pitch this idea.
I mean, if you want to bankroll it.
Bruh. I believe you forget I'm on a fixed income. I can barely afford to feed myself from month to month.
Let alone support a video game. Well, I mean, you know what? That's something to talk about.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody in the comment, in the Ejabon group, support us. We're going to start a Patreon. We're going to get a video game.
You get a shout out.
Shout out to that Patreon. Get on it, PJ.
Literally my only talent is writing. So that's all I can do.
Same.
Well, writers are very valuable,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a writer.
Yeah. I write every day.
Yeah. Shout out to the Epjon group. Make sure you read my Myth Retold series. Y'all know who you are.
Definitely catch that.
Well, this is another topic that I wanted to bring up because we're gonna start very soon. I wanted to do a choose your own adventure for the group specifically.
Ooh, like an RPG. Okay.
Yeah, like an RPG, but I wanted to do more like you remember the old books that used to be out when we were kids, where
like Goosebumps.
Oh no, like
not necessarily Goosebumps, or like actual choose your own adventure books, like where you were always 2 pages away from being murdered.
Right.
So I don't really know exactly what direction I want to go with it, but I did want to start that up where like maybe once a week we'll have an updated chapter. So since we have so many writers on our admin side, I wanted to, start working out details because I think it'll be fun.
I'm here for that. Listen, I am 100% here for that.
I didn't know if I wanted to go superheroes, or if I wanted to go like fantasy, or if I wanted to go like horror, or
mix it up.
But I just wanted like the first part will probably be like we just have like a basic design for a character, and then we go into like a story, and then we can go from there.
Oh, kind of like the Lone Wolf books. Yeah, I can dig that.
Yeah, even if we went somewhere like a fighting game, like you had somebody go in and then we had a fight, and then you could do like a couple moves, and then you either win or lose, and then we go to the next chapter.
Well, if you really want to jump ahead, you could really think about something like a Planetejobn universe where we actually have to have threads dedicated to certain locations within a universe, and we just write our own characters and set up a certain mythos to go by.
Like a role play?
Basically, yeah, like a text-based role play.
I need more info on that. I'm old, man.
Basically, I did it all the time on forums when I was younger. Like what you would do is you would just have threads set up with different locations. Like this is our universes, New York, LA, some made up place we made. And then you have your characters that are set up on certain guidelines. In this case, let's say superheroes, you would have your own individual characters that are unique in your own way, no copies. And you would just have like a big bad villain. Like you basically have somebody who leads the story and just keeps you on the path to completing this arc over time. Or you can just have meetups with people randomly at bars and you get into fights and stuff, like just like an open world.
Dragons except think Dungeons and Dragons except like all text
and no dice rolling.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you could, but yeah, basically.
Okay, hold on. Real quick, you said just meet up with somebody at the bar and do a fight.
Do a fight at the bar, yeah. Trash the bar, have that follow into some new storyline, like we were talking about with like, okay, like this is the reason the bar is destroyed. Go to thread, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Question. How's that any different from what me and my brother do on a Saturday?
What do you do on Saturday? I don't
know. Sorry, you set me up for that one. I had to knock it down.
What do you do on Saturdays?
What goes down on Saturday, Terrence?
Apparently, I just told you. Well, I just told you. Me and my brother. I meet up with my brother. We head to a bar, and somehow or another, he gets me into a fist fight.
That's not good, man.
That's a wild brother.
Yeah, that's not a recipe for a long life.
So how's about we actually make that into a thread? Like, let's just throw out a possibility of, hey, if JOBN had a role play, how would y'all start it off? Ooh, writing prompt. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Ooh. I kind of want to do the choose your own adventure thing just because you can actually like really like that could be another project, but I wanted to go that route because you can really control the narrative. Like I didn't want to have something that just went off into too many different directions.
That's true. Yeah. That is how that exactly will go down.
Like
it's something to dovetail into, you know what I mean?
Like say Kyle went into a room and then there was a dead body there. He either can walk out or he can investigate further. And those will be the only 2 options.
Leaves.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't sign up for this shit.
Yeah, man, it's too late.
No.
Like, I mean, something like that, just so it's everybody can chime in and say, "Hey, this is why I did this," and then it's not too broad. I used to I started doing a role play when I was younger, and I wrote out a whole story for Nightcrawler by itself because he was my favorite X-Men.
Yeah,
and it was like the first arc he had to deal with, like he fought Scorpion and then he teamed up with Spider-Man, and then the last arc he had to fight Kingpin. Just something different, but then it's like not too broad.
Right. Like it's outside the norm, but it's not too ridiculously outside the norm where you can't see it happening.
Right. Or I mean, it could be something like I don't know exactly where I want to start, but I know I want to actually nail it down soon because I almost got like 200 articles on my blog now. and I'm like, you know what? I want to expand.
There we go. It's definitely something to look into.
Mm-hmm.
It's a plan. I mean, I think with the website, this is basically just a staff meeting now. But I mean,
It's fun to talk about, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think with the website, it may be time to branch out to a forum section and then start doing stuff. Like start off in the Facebook group, definitely, but then move on to like having like I personally think that would really kick off really well with the amount of members you have. Like 230,000 people, like a lot of people want to be in like a universe of, you know, predominant Black superheroes. And that, you know, it doesn't have to be, but I mean, it's probably going to end up that way. And it'll attract a lot of people with just that basis, you know what I mean? Like their own versions of whatever.
Right.
That's why a lot of the stories I write are very, very diverse. Like my character Dusk is Black. Him and his brother Raptor are black and Chinese mix. Psy is Hispanic. Jackpot is Irish. Spitfire and Axis aren't even from our planet. And Mystic's Chinese.
Your only character named Jackpot is Irish. That's racist.
Yeah, that's kind of lucky.
The fact that he was Irish came up after I'd already designed him.
Does he look like the guy from Lucky Charms?
No, he has brown.
Does he have red hair and he wear a green outfit?
No.
Yes. Whole team is getting pounded. He's like, follow me up the rainbow. We need nourishment. We need nourishment. What is around here? This cereal. Nobody touches me, Lucky Charms.
I'm not mad at y'all for making the jokes. I'm mad at myself for accidentally setting them up.
I mean,
I just knock them down.
I don't know, because you said Jackpot, he's Irish. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Again, when I was creating him, I didn't realize them.
Like, I'm one of those people where I don't necessarily like dislike stereotypes because comedy just finds its way there. You're like, okay,
exactly.
Just like the guy's name's like in Guardians 2, his name's Taserface. You're like, okay, well, it came from the comics, but they weren't making fun of his name in the comics.
Right.
The writer from the movie saw it and was like, this is ridiculous.
Exactly.
Make fun of it.
I'll be back later.
You know?
Like actually, that's what I used to. That's actually one of the jokes I used to make because like back when I was doing Superboy and the Ravers, they had two characters who Sparks and Dial H for Hero, who real names were DC Power and Hero Cruz. I'm like, okay, your parents must have either been psychic or pissed off a witch. There's no way.
It's like what was that movie? That terrible movie made by M. Night Shyamalan with Will Smith. His name was Cypher Rage. Like what?
Yeah, it's like, dude, really?
And that's a dumb name. Like
but it's like the most powerful name that you could come up with.
Look, I have no problem with the concept of an awesome and cool name. I named one of my characters descendant of King Arthur, Alexander Pendragon. But there's a difference between a name that's cool and meaningful without being overblown, and naming your dude Cypher Rage.
Right.
I mean, but it's like such a cool name. It's like the name Max Power.
That plays in the right context because, like, if you know you're giving them that name and you know how it sounds, like if it's meant to be kitschy, then you're onto something. But like, you know, Cypher Rage, and like you try and make me have a straight face while talking to a man named Cypher Rage. Come on,
like what's your
Mr.
name?
Rage, how are you doing today?
Rage. It's like a '90s video game.
Like
it's like Duke. It is Cypher Rage is on the same level of Duke Nukem when it comes to names.
Mm-hmm.
But Duke Nukem knew he was a joke. Like, you know. Fuck. I don't
know. Like,
holy crap! Somebody's actually in the chat.
What's up, bro?
Chill, bro. We're supposed to pretend we're famous. We're supposed to pretend it's normal. Like.
Oh man, I don't care.
Oh man. So then, what led us down this road?
I have no idea.
Just go, man. Just
Gaming.
and so what franchise would you like to see more, like another title in that you haven't seen in a while? Like what would you like to see sequel to that you haven't seen?
The Chrono Cross timeline, because I've actually even written out a idea for a new game. Like it doesn't. I know it's probably never going to get made, but all the way back in 2007, Square Enix copyrighted the name Chrono Break, and we're planning to make a new Chrono game, but it fell through for some reason. So just from that title alone, I wrote up a whole treatment for what that game could have been about.
Okay.
Yeah. And does anybody remember Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross? Those are two really good games.
I haven't. No, I'm sorry, man. Let me think. Prince of Persia, man. I thought that was a wild game. I'd like to see that done again.
Which one?
Don't ask me all that. The original one.
Okay.
Like not done again, but continue the same kind of story, but do it in that Assassin's Creed kind of way where they jump ahead a little bit and we're in like a semi-modern time. Like keep it in Persia, of course, but like, you know, have the time travel, but then maybe like put it in an era where, like, I don't know, the World War I or something like that, where they're being invaded for their whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not good with history, but give us like military aspects.
Well, you know, they had the Prince of Persia the reboot that came out a couple years ago, where it was like he only had fought like 13 characters in the game, and it kind of bombed. That's why I asked which one.
It must have, because I don't remember.
Yeah, it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, that was one of the games I was thinking of earlier when I mentioned games that had a really obvious heavy sequel hook, but they obviously didn't sell enough to make one, so it just bugs you. That's why I can't play that game, because it ends after you accidentally unleash the god of all evil, and for a sequel that never happens. So I'm just sitting there like, game, why are the credits rolling? The god of all evil has just been freed. Shouldn't I do something? No, I'm done here. All right.
The game I would like to see was like it was on PlayStation 1. It was called Bushido Blade.
That one is really familiar.
Yeah, that got remastered not too long ago.
It did?
Yeah, it did.
Well, the hook for Bushido Blade was that it was like a real sword fight, and if somebody like stabbed you, you like die. So it didn't have a health meter. It was like if you get caught the wrong way, it just was over. Like if somebody stabbed you in the arm, your arm wouldn't work anymore, or you get stabbed in the chest, you just dead.
You know, there's some bomb new game out coming out like that. It looks incredible. It's like you walk around as a samurai, and you're a Ronin, I think, and you gotta go take out other samurai who do have a master until you get to their masters, and you just work your way up, killing everybody. It looks incredible, though. I forget what it's called.
Shadows Die Twice.
What was that?
Is that the one you're thinking of? Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Maybe it's not out yet. I think it's coming out soon. But
yeah, don't ask me to pronounce that Japanese word. It's not happening. The fact that I pronounce it twice is a miracle.
I'm trying to just spell it so I can find it on the internet.
Yeah, but that was one of my favorite PS1 games, just because you play fighting games all the time. You always got a life bar or whatever, but it's like, okay, well, you got this one match where you just stab somebody in the arm and his arm just goes limp and he can't even use it anymore to defend himself.
That's the kind of realism I want to see in video games.
That's actually a really, really cool and really unique idea. I'm surprised that wasn't capitalized on more.
Yeah, or like maybe even like Parasite Eve. Like that's another game that came out like around PS1 era where you could like use like regular guns to go up, and it was like Final Fantasy. Like it had the Final Fantasy engine, but it was like set in like modern times.
Which again, I feel like Final Fantasy, like I know recent Final Fantasies have more of a science fantasy feel, or either urban fantasy or science fantasy feel, but I feel like video games in general should have more science fantasy stories. Like science fantasy is cool. Why don't more stories deal with that?
Yeah, I think it's because a lot of people just can't really balance the two aspects. Like you have a lot of people want to go back into we mentioned before we came online, Robert E. Howard, where you get Conan, in that fantasy era, but then you have other characters, other writers that like want to go sci-fi, and it's hard to mix.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good point. All right, so
It's like Star Wars is technically science fantasy.
yeah.
You know, they really cut off that open world Star Wars game.
Yeah, I know.
Man, I wanted that so badly.
Hey,
EA,
cool.
right, man.
EA is trash, man.
It
Yeah.
really is.
It'd be really cool to have an open world Star Wars game because it's one of the few. That's one of the few places where you'd be able to play as a gray Jedi and do whatever you and actually, fix the dang Jedi Order.
Right.
Honestly, I'd like to play as just like some guy, to be honest, man. Like I like to just play as some dude and maybe get the option, kind of like you're talking about deviating the story paths, where you decide like, okay, he's gonna be force sensitive, and then you have some kind of arc where it leads to that situation, and then you become a Jedi or you become a Sith, or you can just be like, steal a jetpack from a Mandalorian, boom, you're a bounty hunter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I dig.
That's what I want.
Like, oh man, just
I mean, I just want them to get the story right. I don't like there's so many paths you can take with Star Wars. Like you already got Knights in the Old Republic, and it's like they just absolutely refuse to make a sequel to it.
besides Knights of the Old Republic 2, which happened.
Yeah, it's like you just totally refuse to make a new Knights of the Republic game, even though everybody wants it.
Oh yeah. You could do so much in either the Old Republic or hey, here's an idea. I know the Disney trilogy is still being worked on, but you could totally do series set 100 years after the new Disney movies. That way, it won't interrupt anything in the Disney canon. You have choices here.
Well, here's a question: do you guys like the new timeline?
Okay.
In what context?
Okay, like the context of do you like if you had just let's say after Return of the Jedi, we have The Force Awakens and we have The Last Jedi, and we're going into episode 9. Do you like the direction of the series like to this point?
Okay. I like it.
Okay,
I think
without going too deep into like hating, like
you
know where that's going.
Yeah. It's not that I hate it. It's I don't like the direction they took.
Why?
For example, a lot of the mythos, like I understand that they want to deconstruct the ideal of the Jedi by making Luke this flawed individual prone to stupid choices and rage, but it doesn't really work with Luke the way they thought it would. It feels less like character development and more like character regression. Because instead of an old wise mentor having a brief moment of panic when he's already established that he believes in the good in everybody, including Darth freaking Vader, it feels more like a naive farm boy acting on his first impulse, which is something Luke hasn't been since A New Hope. Also, with Kylo, his whole story arc doesn't feel legitimate. Like Kylo's whole story arc does not. I understand people are saying it's making fun of Star Wars fans or it's making fun of Menonists or people like that, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like for a grown man, for somebody who's supposed to be a grown man who's torn between the light and the dark, his actions come across on screen as more of a whining teenager trying his best to be edgy and cool. And Rey and Finn are unfortunately just wasted as characters. I mean, can you think of any major character beats they've had that don't involve their superpowers in the last 2 movies?
My problem with new movies is that they just seem like they were like cash grabs. Like there's no real purpose in making them other than to make them.
Well, here's the thing I think and I know we don't want to harp on this too much because everybody's done it already, it's exhausting, but with episode 8, I feel like they had a good intention. They wanted to say, okay, we have to move on now. Like it's time to get out of just rehashing Jedi versus Sith. Let's talk about the different diverse effects that these powers and people with these abilities can have on the universe outside of just the Skywalker. Like, it was a good effort, but then they went too far and it got artsy and edgy for no reason. I think that with episode 9, they can course correct definitely and get it back to like what's at the soul of the series, but at the same time, they got to find a way to also keep it fresh. You know what I mean? Like, don't go back to the classics. You know?
I mean, they could. I mean, the original story that came after episode 6, it was Han Solo and Princess Leia married, and they had 2 kids that were like they had twins.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was the direction that they may have went, but then they just decided to do something different. I don't really know what the hell's going on with the new series. I think that there's a way to save it, but I don't know if Disney is going to go that route.
They have options to save it, but at this point, I feel it's like a pendulum. It's like a pendulum, but that's weighted on one side. You can swing it back, but you have a lot of work and a lot of things working against you.
Like if it was me, I would like I know this probably won't go over well. I would like murder Rey like in the first 5 minutes of the new movie.
Christ.
Well,
Why though?
Like I would just brutally have like Kylo Ren just murder her.
Why?
Because because she's a Mary Sue and she doesn't have a character.
She's really not though. If you actually take a look at it,
just follow me for a second. You take her off the table, and you immediately have like real motivation for like Finn and Poe and the rest of the characters. Like really have an overwhelming like mission to take out Kylo Ren. None of them are Force users, and they're going up against the Force users.
Actually, Kylo. Remember in the first one, The Force Awakens, Finn did show some Force sensitivity, but
not really though. That was kind of like you could take it either way, but really, like if you had him and Poe having to go up against a Force user, that's like almost insurmountable.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And now you have a hook.
For them, to be honest. I mean, we saw a bunch of soldiers go up against Darth Vader in a hallway and get slaughtered. Like if you put Finn and Poe in one room with now experienced, hopefully there's a time jump, now experienced Kylo Ren with a lot of rage and hating him now. No, they're not gonna get that. The only thing
they're gonna get it, but I mean, you could just be smarter about the plot. They can't, but you got to remember also that stormtroopers killed all of the Jedi.
You know, I'll agree with you. It would be about time. Well, those were ARC troopers. That's different. They were like really elite soldiers, and there's a whole mythos about that. But I mean, like, what I want to see. What?
Go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say was like, if they do that, like, it's not a bad idea at all. Like, I think it's about time that non-Force sensitive people say, okay, you know what? These guys are clearly out here. They exist. We got to find a way to defend ourselves. And like we've seen weapons like that being used before in the series, where you know, the Knights of Ren, or not the Knights of Ren, but the guys who were guarding Snoke, they had weapons capable of stopping lightsabers. So, you know, I'd like to see something like that where there's an army of them, and then maybe reimagine the Jedi and the Sith and just have like, you know, outlaws out here with Force sensitivity, you know, just armies of Force and non-Force, like just against each other. That'd be dope.
Yeah. Another thing to consider is like Jango Fett. He got noticed by Count Dooku because he had killed like 9 Jedi with his bare hands.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, not with his bare hands, but yeah, he killed them all with no Force sensitivity.
Yeah, so it's not like it's impossible. It's just that it's like so above beyond like what you would normally run into that it's like, wow, this guy is a beast.
I want to see more of that. And I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see too much of a deviation, but I do want to see some kind of a mix up. Like it's time.
You got to do something different because I think that they really missed the opportunity with Rey. Like Rey could have been like a really dope character, but with her not really getting that development, and we're not really. I don't think anybody really can relate to her.
Yeah, I'm going to
agree with that. You know, I still cringed when I watched that fight scene in the court. It's like watching
That is very sloppily animated and very sloppy choreographed. I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah, but I mean, like the biggest thing about it that bothered me was you have this girl who really doesn't have any training at all with a lightsaber. Like she's stumbling around like ooh, like and killing 3 guys accidentally. It's like watching Peter Parker play basketball. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. This is like if you go back and watch like Aliens with Ripley, right?
Right.
Ripley is a science officer.
Yeah.
And she's running around with a bunch of soldiers, and she's scared out of her mind. And she doesn't know what the hell she's doing, but she spent some time with these soldiers, and then she has a connection with this girl, and she's like, you know what? I can't leave this girl here on this ship with this alien queen, and I already know what the hell they do. So even though she has no chance at all, she goes out there and gets lucky and wins. But you can relate to it because it's like, okay, well, if it was one of your kids, what would you do?
Right. And she has a motivation because
she has a motivation that's beyond herself. With Rey, it's like I don't even know why she's even cares.
Just because she's good, and which isn't really a good enough motivation.
It's not a motivation. It's just she.
And why is she good? You know what I mean? Like if you really think about it, why is she a good person? Like she was born in a cutthroat society. Like, she basically female Riddick. Like she should be out here slicing and dicing. I can't see why she's so.
Really, she shouldn't trust anybody.
Right.
She was out there. She was living under a dude that was like enslaving people out there with her. Like she shouldn't really be receptive to anybody.
If anybody was going to turn to the dark side, you'd think it would be her. I mean, like, but it's kind of like a duality thing. Like, it's like, in spite of your upbringing, like, Kylo is evil in spite of what he had growing up, and then you got Rey who had, in spite of what she has. Like, I get the what am I thinking of the contrast, but it was like
it's very surface level commentary. Like, and I know people argue that Star Wars has always been surface level commentary, but they usually made up for the surface level commentary with either A, decent plots, B, decent fight scenes, or C, great world building.
Absolutely. And I don't feel like they really built enough of the world. Like, for all the talk about Knights of Ren and everything in episode 7, like, it had me thinking, okay, now they're really starting to build something new. And then for all the changes in episode 8, they really didn't add anything new. They contribute. What did they contribute? Guerrilla walkers. Like,
right.
Yeah, there's nothing really there. It's like, even like with the Knights of Ren, it's like you had a scene that totally would have explained why Rey is important, and then it totally got taken out of the movie.
Exactly.
Like the only explanation we get is Rey, you're powerful because Kylo's powerful. Okay, that's not really an explanation. It's not like.
I mean, even if that was the case, you could say, well, she's powerful because Kylo's power, and you balance it out. But the problem is that even with that knowledge, they still don't give her any personality that you would latch onto and relate to. Like, I don't relate to her like at all. Like, she just does it because she's the main character, and that's how it feels. It feels like she's the main character, so she's the hero, and there's nothing beyond that. Everything is surface level.
Yeah, I agree. Like, for all the talk of the new movies, it's all of their stuff is very surface level. It doesn't feel like look, I'm about to do something I never thought I'd do, but I'm going to compliment George Lucas's writing. Like, yes, he cannot direct that well. We all agree to this. We agree that his direction makes actors seem very stiff and unnatural. There's no defending that. But at least with his writing, he sits down and he takes the time to think out these mythos. He has a plan and he executes this plan so that everything, even if you don't like the prequels, you have to admit it still fits into the world established in the original trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, even if you went by J.J. Abrams, like with Finn was like the top of his class in his fire unit, his fire team, as far as stormtroopers. He's supposed to be like almost like a super soldier.
Right. That's
and
what
none of that is in the movie. Like, he's supposed to be like a beast. That's why he's able to fight Kylo Ren at the end. He's a beast.
Right.
But it's not in the movie.
If you play the video game, like you guys heard me actually playing it earlier. Battlefront 2 is one of my favorite games. I don't care what nobody says. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
In that game, Finn has 3 abilities. Like he can lead, He's like a crack shot, and he's just all around a great soldier. None of that travels over into the movies, like in any shape or form.
Yeah, like
the dude that he fights in The Force Awakens is somebody that he actually beat before the movie. In the prequels, he beat that guy. Yeah. But in the movie, it's like he just got his ass whooped.
Right.
Yeah, in the movie he got tossed around and had to be saved by, what was it? Was it Chewbacca or Han? There's one.
Everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. Poe, everybody.
Everyone. And he's supposed to be this elite super soldier, top of his class, one of the best stormtroopers of the modern age. And it just doesn't feel like it. This guy is no Captain Rex.
He should have been the modern Han, basically. He should have been. In his own right. Like, where he was like, he was out of his element, but he knew what he was doing. Like, he knew how to fire a blaster. He knew how to run a gun. And we didn't get any of that from him. He just kind of... And that was another character, too, that just kind of fell into a weird arc. Where, like, why does he care what happens to Rey? Why does, like, did he get white girl syndrome? Or, like, what happened?
You talking about Finn?
Yeah. It's, what's the trope I like to call it? It's a rescue romance. They rescued each other, so now they're in love. And that can be written very well. Like, Han and Leia have the same thing, but with Han and Leia, they have a very good character dynamic. They work against each other very well. You just don't feel that with Finn and Rey.
Well, with Finn and Rey is basically that's the first person that actually accepted him, that he ran into, that he wasn't brainwashed, while he wasn't under the brainwashing other than Poe.
That's true.
He has like connections with those people because he doesn't know anybody else.
Right.
Like it's just like if you're like in kindergarten and then a girl likes you and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hang with this girl because she talks to me.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel like natural character progression.
It shouldn't. It should be awkward. It should have been really awkward.
Yeah.
I don't like how they tried to like. I feel like in the whole movie, I know you guys hate that I'm taking in a racial direction, but like I don't like how they set that up in the 7th, and the next thing you know, they'd send Finn on a dumb side quest that led nowhere just to set him up with an Asian girl so they could still have a biracial thing, but then not make sure that it's not the black and white guy. That's how I personally took it, and I hate it. And then they forced Poe and her together on top of it, and that really bothered me.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're doing with that.
Yeah,
I'm just confused, honestly. I don't.
We all confused, Kay.
I'm sad when Anakin and Padme's relationship makes more sense. And let's be honest, Anakin and Padme's relationship wasn't written the best, but at least I believe their relationship compared to this.
Whose?
Anakin and Padme's relationship. I believe it more than I believe whatever is going on with Finn and his two girls.
Yeah, well, to be fair,
I always believed Anakin and Padme's relationship. I mean, it was poorly directed, but I mean, I bought that they were interested in each other. It wasn't really
exactly.
Yeah, this was like, I understand why Finn likes Rey, but it feels like Rey is supposed to be like such a strong character that she's not really a woman. Like she's a woman, but it's like she's like asexual.
Don't do that.
I mean, I'm being serious. Like she's like not like she could really be a male character, and it wouldn't matter. It would be the same character.
You're saying you get a sexual vibe. I'm too focused on my mission to care about romance type of vibe from.
Yeah, like I don't pick up like if she was a male character, it wouldn't really be any difference.
Yeah. I dig what you're saying, but
I like how you do that sometimes, but like you have an opinion that almost comes off in a kind of way, but like you make a valid point because they almost skirt the issue of her having a sexual interest in somebody to the point where they're just trying to not make her into a woman with a sexual interest.
Like even when she's running around with Finn and he's holding her hand, he's like, "Don't hold my hand." It's like, okay, well,
okay, you're a single black woman, I get it.
Yeah, I get you. Like I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm like, if you watch those movies, it's just like when you watch, like going back to Aliens with Ripley. Ripley could have been a male character, and it really wouldn't have changed anything in the movie.
Yeah, but with Ripley, she's written very, very well, and with Rey, you just don't get the same emotional connection you get with Ripley because you actually see Ripley be vulnerable and be scared and be unsure of herself.
Yeah, but it's like with Rey, it's kind of like every opportunity they have to show any type of femininity in that character, it's like they shy away from it. They don't want to do it.
Just weakness in general, not even
yeah.
It's weakness in general. She's never allowed to be weak. Like people say that she does get weak and that she does feel weak and scared, and I'm like, no, the situation makes her look weak and scared, but you never get that coming off the character. Every time she's in a situation that's bad, she still acts and seems like she has it all under control.
Yeah.
And look, and I hate to say this, but my writing teacher once told me something that I've held true to this very day. A character who is the same person at the beginning of the story and at the end has done nothing but waste the reader's time. And that's what I'm getting from Rey. Despite all the power she's getting, despite all the training she's getting, she's still the same person she was when we first saw her.
More or less, yeah.
I'm not gonna go that far. I think that there's development with Rey because at the end of The Last Jedi, she actually has found her place in the side of the Resistance. Her and Finn are like basically on the same arc. But the thing is like you don't know why she's taking that position.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a foundational thing. Like she has the foundation of that character is flawed. Like they established that she wants to be a Jedi because she feels like Yoda says, she has all the tools that she needs to be a Jedi, but we don't know why.
I still don't get what her real purpose is, to be honest. Like to herself, I don't get what her.
Yeah, because she's flawed at a foundational level.
Right. It's like your parents were junkies. You're from a junk planet, and some reason you decided that you were going to save the universe and bring a man in to redeem him of his sins. Where does that come from?
I feel like the idea they were shooting for was she was born from nothing, so she has this psychological drive to prove herself to be special, but it doesn't come across very well on screen.
That's an interesting take, though. But I mean, at the same time, like, I don't think she's trying to prove she's special. I think that, you know, greatness was kind of thrust upon her. Kind of like, because like they were trying to do the same thing that they did with Luke in the originals, where like he didn't have an option. His family was murdered in front of him. Now he's got a motivation. He's to go to the universe and stop this evil bastard Darth Vader. He didn't even have an altruistic reason to begin with. Like, he wasn't a hero. He was just a guy trying to fuck shit up. You know what I mean? He's trying to kill Vader because he killed his people.
Well, yeah. he wanted to join the Empire. He was going to be a pilot for the Empire. That was his goal.
Yeah, that was his original goal, be a pilot for the Empire just to get off Tatooine, because he was just completely done with Tatooine.
Yeah, and like we didn't really see him decide that, okay, what I'm going to be is a Jedi and a hero until Obi-Wan really like pushed him in that direction. He had somebody to guide him through that.
Yeah.
And I don't like that's what another reason why I think that
Obi-Wan died. That's when all of it clicked for Luke. The same thing with Anakin. Anakin only started pod racing so he could get enough money to buy his parents' freedom. Then once his mother died and he was discovered to be a Jedi, to have Force potential, he decided, I'm going to use this power to try to help the universe. And then he fell in love with Padme, and then all the bad things happened.
Right. And it's just the motivation of it. It's like I wish that they had let Luke be some aspect of a mentor in the way where like he was trying to genuinely tell her why she needs to be protecting people. You know what I mean? Instead of
that's all they needed him to do. All he needed to do in that movie was be Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, like
that was it. That's all we needed Luke to do. He didn't have to do anything else.
He could have spent the entire movie riding on Rey's back, Yoda style, and giving her life advice, and it would have worked. That's all we wanted. That would have
been it. Like it would have like, okay, well, I would have supported Rey then, but then she beat him in a lightsaber fight.
Which, okay, look. People are going to argue with me about this, but I'm sorry. If Luke has spent the last 20 years studying Jedi text to become one of the greatest lightsaber swordsmen in the known galaxy, there is no way. I don't care how good she is. I don't care how much untapped potential she has. She should not be able to beat him. Skill and training will always beat untapped potential. That is facts in martial arts. That is facts in swordsmanship. That's just facts.
I mean, even if she did beat him, it would have been. I mean, you would think that he would have been able to like use the force and like just hold her in place.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So he didn't. She's not going to just go out the idea that maybe he threw that match. You know,
I'm
one of those people where if it doesn't happen on screen, then it didn't happen.
Yeah, and from his reactions on screen when he showed surprise and astonishment that she beat him, I don't think he threw it. Just from his facial expressions.
or maybe she actually is. Maybe she actually is like this new generation of badass, and maybe she's you know, a new version of what's going on.
Yeah, I get
That's
that.
fair, but it's just it's
fair,
not.
The
It's
point
not
where
really
I'm
right.
making is, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. That she's this new generation. She has all these new powers. But the point I'm trying to make is skill is always going to trump power, especially if you don't know how to use that power.
Good
Let
point.
me put it this way.
Well, not necessarily. Like, okay, totally off topic. It's just like in Ninja Turtles, right?
Mhm.
Michelangelo is like typically depicted as being like the weakest turtle.
Yeah.
But it's also been stated that he has the most raw potential out of any of them.
This is true.
So if he takes whatever match he takes seriously, he can beat any of the other turtles, or he can get some licks in on Splinter or maybe Shredder. But it depends on what his motivation is. So although he can win any given fight, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because if he's not taking the match seriously, he can get taken out by any of them.
Or yeah, that's what I was about to say. But to use your Michelangelo example, Mike has the most untapped potential. The problem is he has no focus on training, so he often comes across as the weakest one. So while he has the potential to be the strongest, he currently he's not. Currently, he lags behind his brothers.
Not necessarily, because you've seen, like, even like in the books, they've shown him actually get like better, like any of them. Like he's gotten the best of. Like they had the comic where Splinter was fighting all of them, and like he actually was the only one to actually get licks in on Splinter and Shredder.
Yeah.
Everybody else just got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, or to use another example, when he fought Raphael in the 2003 cartoon, and Raphael was stomping him the entire fight. So Mikey used some of his potential and realized, okay, I'm never going to be able to beat Raph in a physical fight. So what I got to do is outsmart him, and then tricks Raph into beating himself up and eliminating himself.
Yeah.
Which is one of the best Michelangelo moments, and the reason why he won the Battle Nexus tournament.
Yeah. And I actually just read a book where like it was supposed to be set like 20 years down the line, and he was actually the leader because Leonardo stepped down.
Yep. Okay, but yeah, so going back to the Star Wars example, what we're saying is, sure, Rey can have all this untapped potential, but the fact that she doesn't know how to use the potential, the fact that she doesn't know what triggers it, and the fact that she has no skills in lightsaber combat means Luke really shouldn't have lost that fight for
at all
logical reason.
I agree.
Yeah, like especially since he's
because I think even if Boba Fett would have ran up on Rey, he should have been able to knock her out.
Yeah.
Boba Fett was trash, right?
Yeah.
Boba Fett actually, because I know Jango Fett trained with the Darksaber before, so but I don't know if Boba did in the current timeline.
Yeah,
we still don't know really what happened to the Darksaber after Maul. Nobody really knows what happened to that.
It just disappeared.
Pretty much. I think what they really need to do is they got to do what they did for the prequels and lend like a in-depth story to the Rey story in a like a Clone Wars style, because that series did wonders for that trash that Lucas did. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, some of the prequels were great, but the characters were terribly fleshed, and they could really lend something to it by making a show around those characters that gives them more depth than they did.
Yeah, the Clone Wars.
I don't think they can with these characters.
You don't think so? I think they could.
I don't think they can. I would have said that before The Last Jedi, but after The Last Jedi, I really think all of them are like
one and done.
Just one dimensional. I don't think there's anything really to them other than Poe is a good pilot. Ray and Finn doesn't know if he wants to be there. Ray is trying to find her identity, but I don't even think they have any compelling backstories that they can be mined.
I mean,
I think all of that is ruined.
Well, that's what I think the shows would lend to. It would give them great backstories. You know what I mean?
I think
I don't know. The characters are too young.
Guys.
Yes.
Not to be that asshole, but how long have we been at this for?
About 2 hours.
Okay. All right. Just wondering.
Okay, but what I was about to say was you could, like with Finn, you could mine his backstory because remember, he's portrayed as like it's highly hinted in The Force Awakens. This is not the first time he's broken out of brainwashing, but it's the first time he's actually managed to escape immediately afterwards. So you could mine his backstory for that. Show other times he's broken out of brainwashing and show his growing doubts with the Empire before being put back in.
I think Finn is like the most interesting character out of all of them because you don't have any other characters with his experience.
Yeah,
I really dig Finn and what they did with him in episode 7 because there is a lot of small, subtle things that hint at him being force sensitive. You have the scene in the beginning where he breaks the mental brainwashing, and Kylo Ren immediately beads in on him. Like he wasn't reading just his emotions. Like I think he felt something in him.
Yeah.
And also the fact that he broke the brainwash and said something in itself, and it's just little things. I'd like to see it explode.
Like I said, in the first movie, it's highly implied that Finn is force sensitive,
right?
But he's just not as force sensitive as Rey,
or not aware of it at least. Yeah, like I mean, it just needs to be nurtured, probably.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Finn is like the most interesting character, and I really I wouldn't want to rewrite the movie, but I think that if the character of Finn and Rey were combined, you would solve all of your problems with the new franchise.
Man, that really would have been dope. If they had a stormtrooper turn Jedi, that'd have been pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, because neither one of the characters have parents. If Rey had the stormtrooper training, you would explain how she's able to fight, and how she's able to be a pilot, and you would have the story where she has the disconnect from other people, so she doesn't really relate to other people because the only people that Finn has been around is other stormtrooper.
Right.
And you could say, well, how do you know how to use a lightsaber? Well, I'm a stormtrooper.
I know shit like this. Yeah, this is what I do.
It's like pretty much everything, all the plot holes in the movie could be put together and say, well, these two characters combined are one compelling character.
On the whole Mary Sue thing, though, I'll give it credit. Like, I thought that too originally, but somebody swayed me. Like, with the fighting ability, you got to remember, this girl grew up by herself as a girl on a planet full of, thieves. And so, she lived in a hood of hoods, in space. So she had to be able to defend herself. As far as her ability to, work on tech and fly, she always had that ability from the fact that she had to junk things. She had to know how to use technology in order to know what was worth something was valuable and how to put it together to make it more valuable. So, the Mary Sue thing, I think there's room to say that she does have explanations for her background.
Well, I mean, you have explanations, but it's just okay, well, if I had, let's say I just went to karate school when I was 9 or 10 years old and I practiced for 4 or 5 years,
right?
Would I be able to go up against a group of trained Navy SEALs?
That's a valid point.
It's okay, well, yeah, I mean, not just one, a squad.
Like a squad, yeah. Yeah, well, I blame that on 8. But I mean, in 7, I think a lot of the stuff about her was valid. This 8 went way too far.
It went way too far. If she can get the best of a couple of them, even if you compared it to Rogue One, you had a blind dude that was tapped into the Force, and he just barely was able to get to the end of the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then died anyway, so...
It just died anyway, but I mean, if it was Rey, she just would have ran through it.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of ridiculous in and of itself. And that just shows how ridiculous stormtroopers are, that a blind guy could take on a bunch of soldiers with guns with a stick.
Yeah, but he's tapping into the Force, though.
Yeah. Stormtroopers are decent. We've seen this. We saw this at the beginning of A New Hope. We saw this in Empire Strikes Back. When they're not dealing with main characters, the stormtroopers are deadly effective. We've seen them just wipe out groups of rebels in seconds. The problem is, put them against a Jedi and they go, Oh, we're screwed.
Well,
I
even
mean,
if
you
you
gotta look at it like this. Okay, well, you dealing with, let's say you dealing with all of us, and you're a trained elite soldier. You're like the top of the line, and then you run into somebody with superpowers.
Yeah, I gotta give you that one.
you run into somebody with that can like has like a force field that they can just throw up in front of them where you can't shoot through it. They can take over your mind, and they have like they're trained martial artists with weapons that can cut through all of your cut through your armor like butter.
right.
And they have super speed and strength, and you're just a dude at that point.
Yep.
But then you got like and it goes back to that argument you were making about how, Poe and Finn versus Kylo, like they got to step it up at this point. You know what I mean? In this part of the franchise, you got to say, okay, it's time to learn and strategize and readjust ourselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but my fear is that because they messed up this movie, The Last Jedi, now you're trying to do too much in one movie. We've already seen Rey beat Kylo.
Yeah.
Like twice.
Yeah,
but at least he was damaged. Like I want to see Kylo. I want to see him come back with this. Just.
But even then, even if you had another fight scene with him, it's like we've already seen it.
That's true. But I mean, I want to see Rey like train with Luke, like legit train with him in the Force. Like shit. Well, guess we can't.
I just want to see her get destroyed. Like not necessarily even die. Like when the movie starts, Kylo just beats her ass and she has to recover from it.
Yeah, the entire Jedi library is destroyed, and I feel like I understand they're talking about let the past die. There's a difference between moving on to the future and literally erasing every trace of the past, so you can't build a foundation for the future.
Well, no, actually, in 8, they had that whole thing with Yoda. That was actually a flashback. The tree was already burned down when Rey got there, so she went in there, and the library was still there.
Yeah, I know, but you understand what I'm trying to say, right?
Kinda.
Yeah, right. I understand they want a clean break for the new Jedi Order that Rey's going to make, I assume, but you can't just make a new order, give it the same name, and then have none of the standards and ideals of the old order. The reason why I like the original expanded universe is when Luke made the new order, he realized the flaws of the old order and built on the good parts, and then fix the bad parts of the original order. For example,
I'd like to read about that because that does sound interesting. I haven't read that.
Yeah, but
I mean,
when Luke made the new Jedi Order, he saw all the issues that the original order had with emotions and realized what anybody with a week of psychology would tell you. Wait, emotions are a very important part of human relations. If you suppress them the way the original Jedi were, this is going to end up being very unhealthy for everyone. Here, I have an idea. I'm going to take out these parts, and instead of trying to make people not have emotions, I'm going to teach them how to control their emotions, how to deal with them in a healthy way. I'm even going to allow Jedi to get married. And you know what happened? This Jedi Order was stronger.
That doesn't make sense too. Like, why would they not want that to happen? Like, you figure like that's what a lot of rich lines did, and powerful lines. They marry together so to become more powerful. Why would you not want Jedi to make more Jedi? That is kind of stupid. But I mean,
you gotta remember it's space, so it's like there's probably like a lot of like I just want to go ahead and just bring this up real quick. Sure. In sci-fi, aliens they're not people anymore, so it's like maybe there's something that happens when they're born that that they're trying to prevent from happening.
Well, with the Jedi, they're constantly dealing with possibly turning to the dark side too. So the attachment is, let's say you're married or you have kids and they're put in some type of danger and you can't really immediately take care of it. The easiest path to victory is to go into the dark side. Once you get a taste of the dark side, you turn evil. Turn evil, one Force user can take over a planet.
That's true. We did see Maul do that by himself.
Yeah, so one Force user can take over the planet. That's why they were so scared of having attachments, because if you have an attachment, that becomes something that's bigger than you. Like, I can keep myself in control, but if I have a family, and something happens to my family, or I get like my mom's in danger, my wife's in danger, my kids are in danger.
Oh, my eyes are turning yellow immediately.
Yeah, you immediately it's like, okay, well, I have to do this, and then after you get that taste, like Anakin had, you saw what happened after that.
Right.
Yeah, but again, with Anakin, it was because most of his fall to the dark side was because he had no way to deal with these emotions he had repressed so long, which had unhealthily grown to obsession, which in turn fed into his anger and made his anger worse, which in turn made him fall to the dark side much sooner.
Okay, but what about Dooku?
Oh no, Dooku was just a douchebag. I got nothing.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same argument you can make there. Is Dooku was there, but he went to the dark side because he was interested in dark side artifacts and just knowing the history of it. And
I read the Plagueis book. He actually has an interesting sway to the dark side because in that book they have what really motivated him was not liking what he saw in the Jedi Order. Like he saw that they were heading down a path of just being basically religious zealots, where they were stealing babies at birth from people, saying no, the Force users were taking them, and he wasn't about the Jedi life anymore. And like he could have not been a Sith, but then he had Sidious in his ear, and that's what really turned him. Like he saw, well, there's power here. I can bring peace to the galaxy this way. Like he was still trying to be altruistic about peace, but he was corrupted by evil. So
right, and that's any Jedi though. That's part of the reason why. And then he also was pissed off because of the cover up after Qui-Gon got killed.
Right. Oh yeah, there was a cover up.
Yeah, they covered it up. So it was like, you know what, I can't mess with this anymore. And then you got Palpatine over there, like, yeah, your people are full of shit. Join me.
I am completely trustworthy.
One moment.
Hey,
hey guys, let's shut this down for the night.
All right.
Okay, we've been going for a couple hours or whatever, and it was a good show. I know we got sidetracked with Star Wars, but we can all talk about Star Wars all the time.
Yeah.
This is just signing out. Who we got on the chat with us?
This is Toku Terry signing out.
Look, man, I need these names to be crisp when we shut down.
I got it. That's it. I was like, this is Toku Terry signing out.
I'm just messing with you.
And you got Kyle with Comic Rave. How's that?
Yes, good.
All right, later days.
Okay, so this is your host Jamal Baraka from GT Media Reviews, Planetejobn. You can catch me here, or you can catch me on my social media channels at Jamal is Trash, or you can catch me on my YouTube channel or Facebook. My YouTube channel or my blog at GT Media Reviews. I appreciate everyone that chimed in the chat, or if you just want to check us out, subscribe. We're everywhere you want to be. Peace.
That was